Pioneers are explorers. Pioneers are innovators. Pioneers are leaders. We are Marietta College. We are pioneers. Find out how you can become a PIO at www.marietta.edu.
Ohio voted yes on issue 1 and 2 along with local election results.
And a West Virginia woman was connected with human smuggling in Arizona.
We'll have these stories and more. News Center 15 starts now. Good afternoon and welcome to Thursday's edition of News Center 15. I'm Zach Heiseroth.
And I'm Hunter Withrow.
Topping our news this afternoon. Ohio voters approved a constitutional amendment on Tuesday that ensures access to abortion and other forms of reproductive health care. Issue 1's approval will all but certainly undo a 2019 state law passed by Republicans that bans most abortions after fetal cardiac activity is detected, with no exceptions for rape and incest. Issue 1 specifically declared an individual's right to make and carry out one's own reproductive decisions, including birth control, fertility treatments, miscarriage, and abortion. Before the Ohio vote, statewide initiates in California, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan, Montana, and Vermont had either affirmed abortion access or turned back attempts to undermine the right. Ohio became the 7th state where voters decided to protect abortion access after the landmark ruling, and was the only state to consider a statewide abortion rights question this year.
Ohio voters approved a proposal legalizing recreational marijuana on Tuesday, defying Republican legislative leaders who had failed to pass the proposed law. Passage of Issue 2 makes Ohio the 24th state to allow adult cannabis use for non-medical purposes. The new law will allow adults 21 and over to buy and possess up to 2.5 ounces of cannabis and to grow plants at home. A 10% tax will be imposed on purchases to be spent on administrative costs, addiction treatments, and municipalities with dispensaries. Issue 2 will go in effect in 30 days.
Hey, I wonder what the weather looks like today.
Here to provide a first look at our weather is Landon Santini.
Well, Hunter, as you can see, it's going to be a rather warm day today. It was a rather warm day yesterday, and today is slightly warmer, where it feels like 60, partly cloudy conditions, and expected high of 67. That's the warmest it's been all week. And we have a low UV index of 1, air quality at a moderate level of 56, and a low pollen count of 0.8, in part thanks to the heavy rain we had last night and early into this morning. The winds will be running around the southeast at around 9 miles per hour. Again, thanks to the rain, we have a high humidity rate of roughly 90%. We had a sunrise about 3 after 7 this morning, and the sun will be setting about 15 or 16 after 5 this evening. So yeah, the last couple weeks as we've gone into the month of November, the temperatures have been kind of fluxing back and forth between extreme cold and moderate warmth. And it looks like we're going to be in for another round of that as we get into this next weekend and the next week. But we'll talk about that in a bit more detail when I return later on for the 5-day forecast. So until then, back to you guys at the desk.
Marietta local elections also took place Tuesday night, with Republican Schrickler will remain in office as mayor, as this will be his 3rd term. Susan Vessel wins Marietta Council President in a tight race against David Grandi, as she received 54% of votes. Democrat Harley Nolan and Republican Cassidy Schoaf maintain their title as council members at large, while adding Republican Ben Rutherford Ward council members will all remain the same, with Michael Scales in 1st Ward, Brett Alfine in the 2nd Ward, Bill Gossett in the 3rd Ward, and finally Jeff Schenkel in the 4th Ward. Sherry Hess wins auditor, while judge of municipal court belongs to Randall Jedlick.
A woman from Cross Lanes, West Virginia faces 7 felony charges in connections with alleged human smuggling in Cochise County, Arizona. Cochise County Sheriff Mark Daniels said she traveled there working with the Mexican cartel to smuggle 5 immigrants across the Mexican-American border. Cartels tend to young adults through social media to help with smuggling. 23-year-old Logan Casto was involved in a pursuit in which she was fleeing Cochise County at 110 miles per hour. Deputies say that they used spike strips to help stop Casto's vehicle. Casto, who is from Kanawha County, West Virginia, is one of more than 2,700 people Cochise County deputies have arrested for border-related crimes since March of 2022.
Coming up, Fort Fryer Middle and High School hosting a Christmas craft show.
And new leadership in both Belpre and Warren.
We'll have these stories and more. Stay with us.
Hey, this is Kevin Love from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Right now, many of us feel anxious. Mindfulness can help you ease those feelings. My nonprofit is partnering with Headspace to offer free content to help you stress less. Head to kevinlovefund.org/headspace.
Here's to the straggly ones, the first ones. Hey, I look good with this ones. The black, brown, red, and gray ones. The itchy ones. The ones grown by Dad. The ones grown for Dad. The I nearly didn't do it this year ones, and the absolutely filthy ones. They all raise awareness, raise funds, start conversations, and save lives. Because whatever you grow will save a bro. Learn more at Movember.com.
Ohio voters approved a constitutional amendment on Tuesday that ensures access to abortion and other forms of reproductive health care. The latest victory for abortion rights supporters since the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade last year. Ohio became the 7th state where voters decided to protect abortion access after the landmark ruling and was the only state to consider a statewide abortion rights question this year. The outcome of the intense off-year election could be a bellwether for 2024, when Democrats hope the issue will energize their voters and help President Joe Biden keep the White House. Voters in Arizona, Missouri, and elsewhere are expected to vote on similar protections next year.
Various student groups at Fort Fryer Middle and High School are preparing for the first Christmas craft show this weekend. Over 40 vendors will be set up at the high school cafeteria and middle school gymnasium from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Saturday, selling wares such as crafts, gifts, and jewelry. 3 food trucks from local businesses will be set up, along with a county store run by student volunteers. Middle school science teacher Tracy Huck said the event is sponsored by the junior class, and the proceeds will go to hosting the junior and senior prom in spring of 2024. Some of the proceeds will also go to the funding of an 8th grade class trip to Washington, D.C. in May of next year.
The position of Belpre mayor was obtained by Susan Abdella after the recent election. A new mayor has been named after Tuesday night, Floyd Allen Milhone. James Nelson and Susan Abdella and Romel Henderson were the 4 candidates running for the position. The mayor prior to the election, Michael Lorenz, deferred the opportunity for re-election during this race. The opportunity for a new mayor was not the only position that was up for election in Belpre. For example, William Locke, a council member, was re-elected for his position for an open seat. This was one of many instances that allowed citizens' votes to determine the new outcome of Belpre's leadership.
Warren School Board receives unofficial results after Tuesday evening. Debbie West, incumbent board member, is predicted to remain positioned in her seat while new individuals are elected. Jesse C. Roche was elected to the board following the election Tuesday night. He graduated from Warren in 2001 and worked as an executive director at Southeast Ohio Port Authority. There were also write-in names such as Colin Yost that were believed to be on the ballot. He's the co-owner of Roseland Coffee Bar located in the area of Vincent and Belpre. The election proved to have various effects on the public as the board saw changes in re-elected candidates.
When we return, Biden resonates with residents of Maine over a mass shooting.
And pandas return to China.
And what can we expect?
Well, we can expect a rather cold weekend, but are we in for another warm spell in the next week ahead? Stay tuned for a look at our 5-day forecast after this.
Where are we?
We're at Marietta College.
This is where we live.
Can you hear me?
At
1, 2, 3.
Marietta
Cool.
College.
Beautiful.
When kids need medical care, they face life-changing experiences. They miss out on the things that make being a kid fun. Starlight Children's Foundation programs entertain and inspire hospitalized kids. Learn more at starlight.org.
Marietta, a place some people call home.
A place of athletes.
A place of discovery.
A place for the future.
Your plan.
Your future.
Go Pios.
President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden arrived in Lewiston, Maine to give their support to the residents after the mass shooting that killed 18 people. Biden spoke about how too many communities are being affected by the tragedy of gun violence and to inform the residents that they are not alone. Biden placed flowers at the museum memorial and met with the victims' families to give condolences. He mentions how he will continue to fight gun violence in the United States, and of which will be a large part of his re-election campaign.
Meta, the owner of Facebook and Instagram and Microsoft, have released their ideas to help voters be aware of when they see a political ad containing altered images, video, or audio. The policy announced Wednesday by Meta goes into effect sometime in the year 2024 and will apply worldwide. Meanwhile, Microsoft has revealed new tools intended to help voters and candidates to know if ads have been altered. Many tech companies have been criticized for not doing much to address the risk of AI-generated content that could mislead voters. The new policies announced this week come as lawmakers held a hearing Wednesday on deepfake images.
Two giant panda parents and their cub are leaving the National Zoo in Washington to go to China. Large crates containing the pandas were loaded onto waiting trucks, along with several amounts of bamboo for the pandas to snack on. From there, the bears traveled early Wednesday to Dulles International Airport in Northern Virginia, where they were loaded onto a specially outfitted plane dubbed the FedEx Panda Express. The 19-hour flight to Chengdu, China, will include a refueling stop in Alaska. As the bears return to China at the end of the National Zoo exchange agreement, diplomatic tensions between Beijing and multiple Western governments could complicate efforts to bring more giant pandas to American zoos. U2 adds more Sphere shows. Waitress the Musical heads to theaters, and Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds Return.
Morgan Ahlstrom has all this with today's Hollywood Minute.
Hello everyone. We have some movie and music news now. U2 fans have even more chances to see the band in Las Vegas. They've added 11 shows to their first live gig in 4 years, and they'll be in the new Ultras Cool Sphere. The new dates run from late January to mid-February, including the weekend of the Super Bowl, which is also set for Las Vegas this year. Here's a look at the official trailer for Waitress the Musical, starring lyricist and composer Sarah Bareilles. It tells the story of a waitress seeing a pie baking contest as a way out of her troubles. The film version of the Tony-nominated Broadway show plays in theaters for 5 days beginning December 7th. On a less lyrical note, maybe more screechy, Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds is returning to theaters for its 60th anniversary. Details on the Aviary's Soul on cinemas can be found on fathomevents.com. You can also find The Birds on streaming services. Ducking for cover with your Hollywood Minute, I'm Morgan Ahlstrom. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Morgan. Now we'll head to Landon Santini for a look at our extended forecast.
How's the look out there, Landon?
Well, throughout a good chunk of the country, they're dealing with their own bouts of precipitation. Like you can see in the southern area of the country around Texas, the southeastern winds are pushing a big rainstorm they recently had down to the Gulf of Mexico. They've got some rain coming through the southern Canadian border from British Columbia through Washington and Oregon. And as you can see here, the northeastern end of the country had a snowstorm in those states passing on from our northern Canadian neighbors through the areas of Ontario and Quebec. As for our neck of the woods, this patch of rain that's passing through West Virginia and Pennsylvania, mostly the tri-state area, was from that patch of rain we had late last night, early into this morning. And that came to an end about 4.5 hours ago. So we're pretty much done with rain for today. And as we get into the 5-day forecast, we can see that we're in for a bright and sunny weekend and ironically cooler temperatures after the warm spell we've had today and a bit of yesterday. Friday, we'll be starting our weekend with an expected high of 55, partly cloudy conditions, continuing on into Saturday, a cool down of a high of 52, mostly sunny conditions. Primarily sunny conditions, in fact, and that will continue mostly staying the same for the churchgoers on Sunday with an expected high of 53, low of 35, and sunny conditions. And as we begin the next work week, we'll have a bit of another warm spell with sunny conditions with temperatures climbing to a high of 58 and more or less teetering along that line as we continue on into Tuesday with a high of 56 and a low of 33. So as I've said before, now that we've crossed over into the month of November and we're gearing up for Thanksgiving, we've kind of been switching back and forth between warmness and coolness. Mother Nature can't seem to make up her mind about what she wants us to enjoy, but who knows? As we take our week off next week, we'll see what the weather brings us. So see you later on at the end of the program. Until then, back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Landon. When we come back, Addison Painter will join us with an update from the world of sports.
See you in a few.
James Brown and Bill Cowher welcoming you back to the Midnight Snack Run.
This is one tricky obstacle course.
He's reaching, but he pushes it away. He's approaching a plate of iced cookies. He blows right by him.
Oh, the fridge.
Looks like he's headed for the soda. Wait, he jukes left, grabs the water bottle.
Now he's just got to get out of there.
Look what dropped from the sky.
Don't do it, Dennis. That's the way you execute a Midnight Snack Run.
Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer.
Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Marietta College, home of the pioneers. A small town on the Ohio River with a tight-knit community and tons of opportunity. Find a home here at Marietta College. Bring forth a pioneer.
Did you know that over 700 kids enter the foster care system every day?
700?
700.
Just talking about foster care can help foster care.
Okay, let's try this.
Donate your small talk.
And now, we're back with Addison Painter for a look at sports.
What's been happening in the world of sports, AP?
I can give you the rundown now. Marietta College women's basketball hosted reigning PAC tournament champion St. Vincent in their season opener. Here's Jalen Kiro-Gordon with the recap.
The Lady Pioneers right here are showing off their new powder blue. To start off the first quarter, guard Hannah Schill finds Kelly Levering at the top of the key for a knockdown three on the first possession. Midway through the quarter, Paige Tolson finds Cecil on the baseline for the easy two. To end the quarter, Levering finds Schill to knock down the corner three. And to follow up on the ensuing possession, Schill gets a steal and pushes it all the way for the easy two to end the quarter. Piles lead 22-12 at the end of the first. Both teams were struggling from the field in the second quarter. To end the first half, Levering is found at the top of the key to knock down the triple with 23 seconds. Piles lead in 33-12. To start the third, Olivia Gribble gets it going from downtown as she catches the pass from Hannah Schill. A few possessions later, after a missed layup from Gribble, Tolson is able to rip it from Winkle for the easy two. Addie Hill also gets in on the action as she knocks down a corner triple off of a Jenna Smith pass. To end the third quarter, Levering is able to put it back up right before the buzzer. In the fourth, Sophia Murray is able to lose her defender with a nice up and under for two. The Lady Pioneers did not trail a single second in this game as they knock off PAC tournament champion St. Vincent 68-54.
Thank you, Jalen. Catch the Lady Pioneers at their next home game against Penn State Bear End, Wednesday, November 15th at 7 p.m. in Van Johnson Arena. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander had 43 points, and the Oklahoma City Thunder defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers 128-120. SGA fell 1 point short of his career high and scored at least 40 points for the 8th time in his career. He also had 7 rebounds and 6 assists. Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren each added 15 points as OKC improved to 5-3. Karis LeVert had 29 points, and Evan Mobley added 22 for the Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell scored 20 on 8 of 23 for shooting. Lastly, here's a look at the college football top 25. Ohio State remains number 1 in the college football playoff rankings, with Georgia, Michigan, and Florida State following the Buckeyes. Washington was 5th, followed by Pac-12 rival Oregon, Texas, and Alabama at 8th. Only one of the top 11 teams in last week's first CFP rankings lost last weekend. Oklahoma dropped from 9th to 17th after losing to Oklahoma State, and the Cowboys moved up to 15th. That's all I got in the world of sports. Thank you guys. Back to the desk.
Thank you, Addison. Joining us now at the desk is Landon Santini for our last look at the weather.
Well, to sum it up, after a rather bit of a warm spell this week, going into the weekend, we'll be experiencing a cool down with temperatures in the low to mid 50s. But then as we get into the next work week on Monday and Tuesday, it'll be climbing back up a little bit to the mid 50s up to possibly as high as 60. And look, and since we won't be giving you the WCMO news next week, we'll go ahead and take a look at the next week ahead, and I'll say that it looks like next week we're going to be experiencing a week very similar to this week, with the middle of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, creeping back up into the lower 60s. So it looks like you're definitely dressed for the warmness we'll be experiencing next week. It looks like you're going to Hawaii or something. I like it.
That or another Chucky movie.
Oh, really?
Thanks for joining us for our Thursday edition of WCMO TV. Channel 15 at 12:30 and 6:30. From all of us here at the station, we wish you a great rest of the week.
Candace. This senior basketball player loves to spend time hanging out before class with her best friend and education major Shelby. Shelby knows the best place to study is at the Calapi Cafe, where she can compare notes with baseball player Ryan and get a great cup of coffee too. In the off-season, Ryan tries his best when he's shooting hoops with broadcasting major Gage in the Dyson Baudo Recreation Center, home of Fenton Court. Gage, as producer at WCMO 15 News, runs the control room, where he shows the ropes to Mary, a junior volleyball player and advertising and public relations major. Mary loves to spend her free time drawing down at the Herman Fine Arts Center, where her sorority sister Madison majors in studio art. Madison meets up downtown with junior rower Katie. Downtown's where you can get beautiful river views,